debates and decisions that are shaping our continent now in Europeans.
This is Istanbul, a city which for centuries has captivated writers, artists and intellectuals with its culture and physical beauty. Today, it is a symbol of the vast changes sweeping Turkey and of a nation searching for its identity. But it is this very identity which has come under the spotlight in a controversial penal code called Article 301, which makes it a crime to denigrate or insult Turkishness. Elif Shafak was charged with this crime when a fictional character in one of her books called the mass killing of Armenians in 1915 a genocide. She was quickly acquitted, but others have not been so lucky.
In my opinion, these people should be seen as a backlash. I mean, these things are taking place not because nothing is changing in Turkey, but precisely because things have been changing in Turkey tremendously over the past 5 years, especially both in the political arena and in the public sphere, in the civil society. Things have been changing, and the EU process has been a very important triggering force all along. And as Turkey gets closer to EU, as the democratization process gains pace, as the reforms gain pace, this backlash has become more visible, more audible.
Since Article 301 was introduced in June 2005, more than 60 writers, journalists, publishers, and even translators have been charged with denigrating Turkishness, most notably the winner of this year's Nobel Prize for Literature, Orhan Pamuk. Many of the trials took place in Istanbul. With a population of over 15 million, it is a melting pot of cultures and religions, and it's the only city in the world which straddles two continents, Asia and Europe, linking them by a bridge. For many in Istanbul, crossing the bridge is seen as a key step in understanding Turkey's identity. This is the sound of Babazula. It's a mixture of traditional and modern Turkish music. It was also featured in a film about music in Istanbul called Crossing the Bridge.
Geographically, Istanbul is in between really Asia and Europe. And it was also a very important point, like it was where the Silk Road and the Spice Road ended. And it started from the very far east. So it was a link connecting far east to west. And I think it still is.
But when it comes to connecting Brussels' conditions for EU membership with Turkey's political landscape, Bedri Baykam says more than just artful diplomacy is needed. He is one of Turkey's most prolific painters and writers and has also dabbled in politics. He's also a key critic of Europe's need to further understand why laws such as Article 301 exist in Turkey, even if he agrees the law must be changed.
Turkey has come a long way in its democratic struggle, but on the other hand, Turkey is also a very problematic country because it's under constant threat of Islamic fundamentalism, it's under constant threat of Kurdish separatist groups, and it's very interestingly enough, it's also under the threat of European dialogue that doesn't want to understand the realities of Turkey. We do, of course, as intellectuals, want the progress on this field of laws concerning freedom of speech and human rights and freedom of the press. And on the other hand, we also need protection against terrorism. We need protection against aggressions on the state, on the nation.
Under Article 301, criticism of the state can be interpreted as an aggression, especially when it comes to sensitive topics such as the Kurds, the military, or the Armenians. Hrant Dink is the managing editor of the Turkish-Armenian newspaper called Agos. He's been charged more than once with insulting Turkishness. A 6-month prison sentence was suspended, then reinstated. Hrant Dink appealed and now faces another trial in December. He says his words were misconstrued and that, if anything, his aim is to improve relations between the Turkish and Armenian people.
I wrote an article on Armenian identity, and I spoke to the Armenians saying this: within you, you have another identity which is poisoning you. That other identity is Turkish. This anger against the Turks is making you ill. It poisons your identity. That is why you must not focus on the Turkish. Do not be the enemy of the Turk. Expel this poison from your body and fill the cavity that is left with your Armenia. Based on that, they said the blood of the Turk is poisoned, and I was convicted.
Buradan çıktılar, dediler ki, bu Türk'ün kanı zehirli diyor, dediler. Ve bana ceza verdiler.
Ironically, Article 301 comes at a time when Turkey is enjoying a new freedom of artistic expression of its cultural and ethnic diversity. And perhaps nowhere is this new freedom more visible than in Turkey's film industry. Sinan Çetin has made a variety of feature films, but he's also produced many commercials and television shows. He says money earned from the commercial side of his work has allowed him more freedom to choose his next film projects and to help young directors. It's a freedom he believes also applies to when talking about the Turkish identity.
Sure, there is to be Turkish. Sure, there is so many tradition, so many lifestyle for Turkish people. What it has to be, if you ask me, what it has to be. For me, we don't have to give answer for this question. It has to be free, whatever it is.
What it means to be Turkish is part of a collective soul searching for this country of 73 million people. A search many Turks believe is quite recent, given that the Turkish Republic was only founded in 1923. Ragip Duran is a journalist who spent 7 months in prison back in 1998. He had been convicted of promoting terrorism propaganda when writing about the Kurdish separatist movement. He claims Brussels needs to be patient as Turkey comes to terms with its past so that it can continue to move forward.
This paradox between, in a very large sense of the word, between Eastern and Western is, I think, the principal paradigm of the Turkish identity. We don't know even today if we are really and mainly Easterner or Westerner. So many people are saying that we are a bridge between them. That's okay, but even a bridge have to have a characteristic.
For centuries, Istanbul was hailed as the capital of all capital cities. It earned this title not only because of its geographical importance, but because of its political and cultural importance. A role Istanbul and Turkey will continue to play on both sides of the bridge.